Dating would make things weird between us. She laughed when I confessed my feelings, so I smiled, wished her well, and started dating again. 2 years later, she's sliding into my DMs while I'm posting anniversary dinner photos with my girlfriend. For 18 months, Lily and I had this perfect Tuesday routine at Café Central near Union Square, where she'd order her oat milk cordido and I'd get my regular black coffee, and we'd spend an hour talking about everything from her graphic design projects to my latest marketing campaigns for tech startups. I thought we had something real building between us, the kind of connection where conversations flowed effortlessly and silences felt comfortable rather than awkward, so when I finally worked up the courage to tell her how I felt, I expected maybe some hesitation or concern about changing our dynamic, not what actually happened. "Lily, I've been thinking about this for months," I said, leaning forward across our usual table by the window, my heart hammering as I watched her scroll through design portfolios on her laptop. "I really care about you, and I think we could be something special together." She looked up briefly, let out this dismissive laugh that made my stomach drop, and said, "Dating would make things weird between us," before immediately returning to her screen like I just suggested we try a new coffee flavor instead of confessing my feelings. The casual cruelty of it hit me harder than any direct rejection would have. She didn't even consider the possibility long enough to offer a real response, just brushed off 18 months of what I thought was meaningful connection like it was an amusing but impractical suggestion. I sat there for another 10 minutes making awkward small talk while she continued working, feeling like an idiot for misreading every signal, every laugh, every text conversation that had stretched past midnight, and when I finally left that cafe, I knew something fundamental had shifted between us. That evening, scrolling through Instagram while nursing a beer and trying to process what had happened, I saw it. A photo Lily had posted 3 hours earlier of her and some guy with perfectly tousled hair and expensive camera equipment draped around his neck, tagged as "Adventures with my favorite photographer," with enough heart emojis to make the message crystal clear. The timestamp showed she'd posted it while I was still sitting across from her, probably while I was stumbling through my confession, and when I clicked on his profile, I found 3 months of photos documenting their relationship, hiking trips, gallery openings, intimate dinners at places I'd suggested we try together but she'd always said were too expensive. Trevor Chen, professional photographer, the kind of guy who made living in San Francisco look effortless and artistic, everything I apparently wasn't. The realization that she didn't find dating risky, she just found dating me laughable, burned worse than the original rejection, and as I sat there looking at photos of them exploring the city I'd lived in for 6 years, I opened my laptop and started researching marketing positions in Nashville, where my company had been talking about expanding into the music industry for months. The strategic withdrawal started immediately. I began declining our Tuesday coffee dates with carefully crafted excuses about increasing work demands and a major campaign for a tech startup that required extensive travel throughout the Bay Area. "Sorry, can't make it this week. The Zentech campaign is absolutely consuming my life," I'd text on Monday nights, watching her respond with disappointment but never suspicion, and within 3 weeks I'd created enough professional distance to make my next move without anyone questioning the timing. Bluegrass Creative, a Nashville agency specializing in country music marketing, had been on my radar for months, and when I reached out about their senior marketing consultant position, their enthusiasm for my digital campaign experience was immediately apparent during our video interview. "We've been looking for someone who understands both tech world metrics and creative industry relationship building," their creative director explained. "And your portfolio shows exactly the kind of innovative thinking we need to bridge traditional country music with modern digital platforms." The offer came within 48 hours, better salary, creative autonomy, and the chance to work with Grammy-nominated artists who actually valued marketing expertise instead of treating it as a necessary evil. When I announced my move during a farewell gathering at Fisherman's Wharf, watching the sunset paint the Golden Gate Bridge while our friend group processed the news, Lily's reaction was the first genuine emotion I'd seen from her since the coffee shop incident. "Wait, you're really leaving San Francisco?" she asked, her voice carrying something that might have been panic. "Does this have anything to do with our conversation?" I'd prepared for this moment, practicing the response until it sounded natural and unconnected to her rejection. "Actually, I've been pursuing this opportunity for months," I said smoothly. "The music industry has always fascinated me, and Nashville's becoming this incredible hub for creative marketing innovation." The irony hit me later when I discovered that Trevor, her photographer boyfriend, had been hired to document our farewell party. Apparently one of our mutual friends thought his artistic eye would capture the evening perfectly, not knowing he was unknowingly photographing my final interactions with the woman who dismissed me so casually. Watching him work throughout the night, directing group shots and candid moments while Lily stayed close to his side, I realized he was actually documenting the end of one chapter and the beginning of something entirely different, though none of us understood the full story yet. The photos he posted later showed me laughing with friends, looking genuinely excited about my future, and in every single image where Lily appeared, her expression seemed thoughtful and slightly troubled, like she was beginning to process what my departure actually meant for the comfortable dynamic she'd taken for granted. Nashville hit me like a revelation. Within 2 weeks, I was volunteering at the Music City Animal Rescue on weekends, joining a hiking group that explored Tennessee's state parks every Saturday, and throwing myself into Bluegrass Creative's world of emerging country artists who actually appreciated fresh marketing perspectives instead of treating consultants like necessary evils. My first campaign was for a 22-year-old singer-songwriter from Kentucky whose acoustic style needed digital strategy to reach younger audiences, and watching her streaming numbers climb from my targeted social media approach felt more satisfying than any tech startup campaign I'd managed in San Francisco. You understand the balance between authentic storytelling and data-driven targeting, my creative director Marcus explained during my third week. Most consultants either push too hard on metrics or get lost in the romance. You're finding the sweet spot. The work challenged me in ways I hadn't expected, requiring deep dives into music industry relationships while building campaigns that honored artistic integrity, and every day felt like learning a new language where creativity and analytics finally spoke to each other. Meanwhile, Lily had started texting me regularly about her photography adventures with Trevor and ongoing frustrations with her graphic design firm, apparently expecting our old dynamic to continue across 2,000 miles like nothing had changed. Trevor got this amazing assignment shooting a wedding in Napa, but the couple is so demanding about every single detail. She'd text, followed by, "My boss rejected my latest concept again. I swear he has no vision for contemporary design." At first I responded with the same supportive messages I'd always sent, but something about the distance made her complaints feel different. Less like sharing struggles with a friend and more like seeking validation from someone she'd relegated to emotional support duty. My responses grew shorter and less frequent until I was mostly just hitting like on her Instagram posts, a polite acknowledgement that required no emotional investment. The real transformation came when I met Maya at the animal shelter, where she worked as a veterinarian specializing in rescue rehabilitation, and our first conversation felt fundamentally different from any interaction I'd had with Lily. "So you're the marketing guy who's been helping with our social media strategy," Maya said, looking up from examining a recently rescued beagle mix. "I've been following your posts about the dogs we've placed. You really understand how to tell their stories without making it manipulative." Instead of talking about her problems or seeking sympathy, Maya asked detailed questions about campaign metrics and conversion rates, then shared passionate explanations about animal behavior and rehabilitation techniques that made me genuinely curious about her world. "This little guy came from a hoarding situation, but watch how he responds to positive reinforcement," she demonstrated, and I found myself staying 2 hours past my volunteer shift just listening to her explain canine psychology with the same analytical precision I brought to marketing strategy, except her work actually saved lives instead of boosting engagement rates. What developed between Maya and me felt like discovering a completely different language for human connection. Our relationship built organically through shared Saturday morning volunteer shifts and weekend explorations of Nashville's music venues, where Maya's photography skills rivaled anything Trevor had posted on social media, except she captured moments instead of manufacturing them. "I love how you explain the marketing psychology behind artist branding," Maya said during our third month together, as we listened to live music at the Bluebird Cafe. "It's like veterinary behavioral analysis, but for human emotional responses." She understood my work in ways that made me better at it, attending industry networking events where her genuine curiosity about creative campaigns impressed even seasoned music executives who usually dismissed marketing consultants as necessary annoyances. Maya's veterinary practice flourished as she opened Music City Rescue Rehabilitation, a clinic specializing in traumatized animals that quickly became Nashville's premier destination for rescue organizations throughout Tennessee, and watching her transform broken animals into trusting companions reminded me daily that healing was possible when someone actually cared about the outcome. My own career reached new heights when I landed campaigns for two Grammy-nominated artists, a folk duo whose authentic storytelling needed digital strategy to reach younger demographics, and a country rock crossover artist whose fanbase required careful cultivation across multiple platforms. Ben gets the balance between artistic integrity and commercial viability, the folk duo's manager explained to Music Industry Weekly. He doesn't try to change the music, he finds the right audience for what already exists. Maya celebrated every client's success like it was her own achievement, offering marketing insights from her veterinary business experience and never competing for attention or making my victories about her somehow, which felt revolutionary after years of friendships where support came with hidden resentment or expectation. Through our San Francisco friend group's social media updates, I learned that Lily and Trevor's relationship was becoming increasingly volatile, with friends posting subtle hints about dramatic arguments and Trevor apparently feeling threatened by Lily's tendency to compare him unfavorably to friends who really understood her creative ambitions. She keeps bringing up this marketing guy who moved to Nashville, one mutual friend mentioned during a video call. Trevor's getting pretty tired of hearing about how supportive and insightful Ben used to be. The irony was absolutely perfect. She dismissed my feelings as impractical but now used our connection as a weapon against her actual boyfriend, proving she'd never valued what we had until it became unavailable. The most satisfying discovery came when Maya noticed unusual LinkedIn activity on my professional profile. "Someone's been viewing your updates obsessively," she observed, showing me the analytics that revealed multiple weekly views from Lily's account on every post about my Nashville success, Grammy campaign results, and industry recognition. While I was building a career she'd never thought I was capable of, Lily remained stuck at the same graphic design firm where she'd complained about lack of creative freedom for 2 years, her portfolio showing no growth or evolution, just the same corporate branding projects she'd been lamenting during our coffee shop conversations 18 months earlier. 2 years after leaving San Francisco, I was reviewing campaign analytics for a platinum-selling country artist when our office manager announced I had a visitor, and there stood Lily in Bluegrass Creative's lobby, looking polished but slightly out of place in her San Francisco designer aesthetic among Nashville's more relaxed creative professionals. "Ben, I can't believe I found you," she said with practiced surprise, though the fact that she'd located my specific office in a city she'd never visited suggested considerably more research than casual coincidence. "I'm here for a graphic design conference downtown, and I remembered you worked somewhere in Music Row, so I thought I'd try to track you down." The explanation felt rehearsed, especially since Nashville's design conference scene wasn't exactly known for attracting West Coast firms, but I maintained professional politeness while internally noting how she'd somehow pinpointed my exact workplace among hundreds of creative agencies in the area. Lunch at Bourbon Steak on Music Row felt surreal, sitting across from someone who'd occupied so much mental space 2 years earlier, now feeling like a pleasant but distant acquaintance whose problems no longer affected my emotional equilibrium. "So tell me everything about Nashville life," she said, leaning forward with the same intensity she'd once brought to complaining about her job, but I found myself mentioning Maya naturally throughout the conversation, describing our weekend hiking adventures and her veterinary clinic's success with rescue rehabilitation programs. "Maya sounds lovely," Lily said, her smile tightening slightly. "But don't you miss the energy of San Francisco? The cultural sophistication? The real opportunities?" The condescension in her voice reminded me exactly why I'd felt so small during our friendship. Her assumption that Nashville represented some kind of professional downgrade rather than the career breakthrough it had actually become. "Nashville is exactly where I belong," I said with finality that seemed to catch her off guard. "The music industry here values authentic creativity over manufactured trends. My clients actually respect marketing expertise, and I've built something meaningful with someone who sees partnership as mutual support rather than convenient emotional labor." Her face shifted through several expressions: surprise, calculation, something that might have been genuine regret, before settling on forced brightness as she realized my emotional distance wasn't strategic but complete. The text started that same evening, longer and more desperate than anything she'd sent during our friendship, filled with specific memories about our coffee shop conversations and increasingly transparent hints about reconsidering past decisions. "I've been thinking about what you said about creative collaboration, and I realize I might have been too quick to dismiss certain possibilities between us," read one message that arrived at midnight Nashville time. Remember how we used to talk for hours about the intersection of design and marketing? I miss having someone who really understood my artistic vision. When I responded with brief, polite acknowledgments that treated her messages like professional correspondence, she escalated to manufactured emergencies designed to force longer conversations. "Ben, I need your local expertise urgently," she texted one Tuesday morning. "My firm is seriously considering opening a Nashville branch, and they want me to lead the market research since I have connections here. Could we set up a call to discuss the creative landscape?" The desperation was almost painful to witness, but I'd learned enough about manipulation tactics to recognize the pattern, so I responded with clinical professionalism. "That sounds like a great opportunity for your firm. I'd recommend contacting the Nashville Chamber of Commerce for comprehensive market analysis. They have excellent resources for companies considering expansion." Her follow-up messages revealed the fabrication immediately, growing increasingly frantic as she realized I wouldn't be drawn back into the emotional dynamic she'd taken for granted, and I found myself feeling genuinely sorry for someone so unable to accept that some doors, once closed, don't reopen just because you finally decide you want to walk through them. Maya and I celebrated our 2-year anniversary at the Pinnacle, Nashville's most exclusive rooftop restaurant, with panoramic views of the city skyline that made the Cumberland River look like liquid gold in the sunset, and the timing felt beautifully symbolic, exactly 2 years to the day since my coffee shop confession to Lily. Except now I was toasting someone who'd chosen to build something real with me instead of dismissing the possibility with casual cruelty. I can't believe it's been 2 years since that first day at the animal shelter when you stayed 3 hours past your volunteer shift just to hear me explain canine behavioral psychology. Maya laughed, raising her champagne glass as downtown Nashville sparkled below us. "You looked so genuinely interested in the rehabilitation process that I knew you were either really passionate about animal welfare or completely smitten with the veterinarian." The custom rescue dog charm bracelet I'd commissioned from a local artisan sat perfectly on her wrist, each charm representing a dog we'd helped place in loving homes, with tiny engravings of their names and adoption dates that chronicled our shared mission of turning broken animals into trusting companions. I posted Instagram stories throughout the evening without thinking about who might see them, capturing Maya's radiant smile as she examined each charm, our champagne toast against the Nashville skyline, and her genuine excitement about the surprise weekend trip to Great Smoky Mountains National Park I'd planned for our actual anniversary celebration. My phone started buzzing with notifications before we'd even finished dinner. Congratulations from Nashville friends, heart emojis from Bluegrass creative colleagues, and surprisingly positive responses from San Francisco connections who'd followed my Nashville journey through social media updates. The celebration felt perfect until Maya's expression shifted while checking her own phone, her veterinarian composure cracking into barely contained laughter as she showed me a direct message that had arrived through Music City Rescue Rehabilitation's official Instagram account. "Hi there, I'm potentially interested in your pet services and wondering about your rehabilitation programs for anxious rescue dogs." The message read, posted from an account called @designlife_SF with no profile picture and 0 followers. "I'm particularly curious about your partnership with local marketing professionals and whether you offer consultation services for long-distance pet care planning." Maya's amusement was infectious as we analyzed the obviously fake inquiry that somehow knew specific details about our relationship and my profession, despite the account having no apparent connection to anyone we knew personally. "This person seems really interested in our partnership with local marketing professionals," Maya observed with scientific precision. "Almost like they're more curious about the marketing professional than the actual pet services." We started investigating and discovered that @designlife_SF was just one of several suspicious accounts that had been monitoring my social media activity, all created within the past 18 months and all following the same pattern of minimal followers, no original content, and obsessive viewing of my Nashville updates. The most entertaining discovery came when Maya suggested checking online reviews for my recent campaign work, where we found a series of anonymous 5-star reviews posted across multiple industry websites with suspiciously detailed praise that reference conversations only Lily would remember. Ben's understanding of the psychological dynamics between artist authenticity and audience connection shows the kind of deep insight that separates great marketers from merely competent ones. Read one review that quoted almost verbatim from discussions we'd had during our coffee shop meetings about emotional marketing strategies. His ability to bridge analytical thinking with creative intuition reflects years of thoughtful observation about human nature and artistic expression. The reviews were professionally written but revealed intimate knowledge of my working philosophy and personal approaches to campaign development that no random client would possess, creating a bizarre digital shrine to our former friendship that she'd apparently been maintaining while simultaneously trying to pretend she'd moved on from my departure. 6 months later, my assistant forwarded an email that arrived through Bluegrass Creative's official business channels with the subject line, "Strategic Partnership Opportunity from West Coast Design Solutions." A formal business proposal from Lily's San Francisco firm offering to create marketing materials for my Nashville clients at 30% below market rates. "We believe our aesthetic sensibilities would complement your campaign strategies beautifully," the proposal read with corporate polish. "And we'd like to specifically request Lily Chen as lead designer for all projects, given her familiarity with your creative vision and collaborative working style." The transparency was almost impressive. She'd crafted a professional document designed to force regular contact under the guise of business necessity, complete with projected timelines that would require weekly video conferences and detailed creative consultations spanning months. I forwarded the entire proposal to our legal department with a note about potential conflict of interest concerns, then sent a brief response declining their services due to existing vendor relationships with local Nashville firms who understood country music industry aesthetics. "Thank you for thinking of Bluegrass Creative, but we've built strong partnerships with Tennessee-based designers who specialize in music industry branding." Lily's response arrived within hours, no longer disguised as corporate correspondence but clearly personal despite coming through business email channels. "Ben, I think there might be some miscommunication about the scope of what we're offering," she wrote. "Maybe we could schedule a video call to discuss how this partnership could benefit both our companies? I have some ideas for collaborative brainstorming sessions that could really elevate your campaign work." When I didn't respond, the emails escalated into increasingly desperate attempts at professional manipulation, suggestions for creative consultations, offers to fly to Nashville for in-person meetings, and detailed analyses of my recent campaigns with recommendations for design improvements that would require her ongoing involvement. I implemented complete digital boundaries by having my assistant filter all communication from her firm through our office management system, removing any possibility of direct contact while maintaining professional courtesy through intermediary responses. The final escalation came when Maya called me at work, her voice carrying a mixture of amusement and concern that immediately got my attention. "Ben, something weird happened at the clinic today," she said. "We received a cashier's check for $5,000 with an anonymous donation letter suggesting the donor hopes our partnership with local marketing professionals continues to flourish and that our rescue work inspires creative collaboration for years to come." The letter was typed on expensive stationery with no return address, but the phrasing felt unmistakably familiar, specifically the reference to creative collaboration and the oddly specific hope that our partnership would continue, language that echoed Lily's recent business emails almost exactly. She'd escalated from digital stalking to attempting to buy her way back into my life through the woman I loved, trying to force gratitude and connection through Maya's veterinary clinic that she couldn't achieve through direct contact with me. That evening, I sent one final message to Lily's personal email address, making my position absolutely clear with the kind of direct communication that left no room for misinterpretation. "Lily, any further attempts to contact me directly or indirectly, including through business proposals, anonymous donations, or third parties, will be considered harassment and reported to appropriate authorities. I've moved on completely, built a life I love with someone who values me, and I need you to respect that finality." I blocked her across every platform, implemented additional security measures for Maya's clinic, and felt genuinely relieved when weeks passed without any suspicious activity, finally free from someone who'd taken 3 years to realize she dismissed something valuable and would apparently spend forever trying to reclaim what she'd never actually wanted in the first place.